So we suggested the last time we met this very important yesod, this very important fundamental idea that relates to the beginning of our journey of Yiddishkeit. And what is that? That is this idea of Lech Lecha. So Avram Avinu, as we know, is the father of Chesed, the father of loving kindness. Yet, if we start to describe what goes on at the beginning of our introduction of Avraham, it seems opposite to Chesed. First of all, he's told, Lech Lecha, separate, disconnect yourself from where you were born from your society, from your parents' house. And then what happens? In this week's Sedra, we're told Vayera, he has a Brit Milah, which is a further idea of separation and disconnection. Now the question is, how is it that Avraham, who's meant to be a father of all the nations, Avraham, who's meant to be able to connect to everybody, is told by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, start off by disconnecting from everything? Seems a little bit opposite. What we suggested is, as far as we have got now, is that in order to really know what's going on in the world, in order to relate to everybody and everything, you have to know yourself. You have to have a proper self-definition. What are my wants? What are my needs? And the truth is, only through having proper boundaries, knowing who and what you are, can you come out and meet the rest of the world. Can you truly be a Bal Chesed? Now, we can add here that if somebody really doesn't know themselves, as they go and mix in the world, they'll probably find themselves getting offended and getting pushed off and really not having the ability to relate to people. Have you ever been in a situation when you've met somebody insecure? It's very difficult to hold a relationship with them. Vayera, what happens? He's had his Brit Milah. So what's the first thing Avraham Avinu starts to do when he's gone through this deep process of disconnection? What's he start to do? First thing he does, he sits at the entrance of his tent and he's waiting to experience hosting visitors. Because as we said, this is the deep truth that lays in front of us. The better self-knowledge, self-understanding you have, the more you can be healthy and relate to others. And this, as we said, based on the Pirkei Avot in the first chapter, 14th Mishnah. So what did we say? Im ein ani li, if I'm not for myself, mili, who's going to be for me? First, we have to start with a proper definition of self, understanding what are my needs, what are my wants. However, there's a certain point in time where obviously if I keep on living like that, I'm going to become selfish. So what's the next part of the Mishnah? If I'm just for myself, ma'ani, what am I? So Parshas Vayera expresses this next part of the Mishnah. Ukashani latzmi ma'ani. That if now Avraham Avinu kept on going inside, kept on being in the process of Lech Lecha, without now opening up to the rest of the world, then he'll have become a selfish being. And the whole goal is to have self-definition and a proper self-understanding in order to meet the world outside of himself, to be that Bal Chesed. Let's just add here before we end. Avram, the father of the nations, but as well Ram is Romamut, to pick up, to accent. What we can share here is that because Avraham had that self-definition, because Avraham was a person who really got to know themselves in a very deep way, whoever Avraham met, what did Avraham do? He picked them up. He showed them the depth, the strength, and the beauty that was inside of them. He could do that because he knew himself. He had a mastery of self. What we can suggest, the bridge from Lech Lecha, which is really self-definition, self-understanding, reclaiming oneself and boundaries, naturally moves on to the Brit Milah, which is another step of severing. However, the separation, not for the sake of separation, the separation for the sake of connection. So may we be in a process of Im ein ani li mi li. If I'm not for myself, if I don't have that proper self-definition, if I don't do Lech Lecha properly, how's life going to look? How's life going to work? However, when I've done it, Ukusha'ani la'atzmi mani. If I keep on working on myself in a way that is disconnected from the rest of the world, who am I? What am I? Mani. What am I? So the goal is that we could balance out that I'm working on myself in order to connect to others. I'm separating myself, having a better self-understanding so I can hold deeper, more intimate relationships, long-lasting relationships. So Be'ezras Hashem, may we live a life where we be that Avram Avinu, that we could sit at the entrance of our tent with a proper healthy self-definition, knowing my wants and needs in order to relate in a deep, healthy, meaningful way with others.